Since I recorded my step-by-step process for how I make stereoscopic or 3D stereo cards, I've modified my steps due to the purchase of a laminator. If you recall, I used to take 8" by 11" pre-cut backing sheets. This is my roll of 3M adhesive with a release paper on one side. I would drop a couple sheets on, cut them out, but I still had to apply pressure to this once that was done in order for the adhesive of the 3M product to be adhered to the backing sheet properly. In order to do that, 3M would send you this blue scraper along with their product. I created a little wooden handle for it, and now I could go in and apply that pressure to ensure that when I pull this releasing paper off, all the adhesive is now sticking to the backing sheet. Then I would take my picture sheet and apply that to it. I would cut out the cards, drop a corner radius, but then I was also going in and doing something very similar, applying pressure to the card as well, again to ensure that there was a good bond between the adhesiveness and the picture. This is the laminator. I like to keep a towel over the rollers. I work in my basement in the furnace room. The ceiling is not sheetrocked, so in order to prevent any or keep any dust and or dirt particles from dropping off the wooden joists, floor joists, I just like to have it covered to ensure that something doesn't accidentally get onto a roller and then embed it into a picture when I go to use it. Just a little information on this piece of equipment. I found it on the website. The link is laminator.com. The item is a dry tack ML25. Description is 25" manual cold roll laminator. The list price was $350 plus shipping and handling. These rollers are made out of steel with some type of polyurethane coating on them. If you go online, you can find almost an identical piece in the price range of $170 to $185. Their description says that the rollers are out of plastic, so I can only assume that's the cost driver of why they are almost half the cost. My reasoning for going with the steel or with this particular product was I figured there would not be as much deflection in the center of the rollers made out of steel. But then again, with today's plastics being so hard, that might not be true, so I don't know if one product is as good as the other, but that was the reason why I went with this particular one. I'll now show you how I went about setting up for the products and how I wanted to use it. You can see that on both sides there's thumb screws here with a threaded bolt which will raise or lower your rollers. I've got prepped 2 backup sheets with adhesive put on it and the release paper. What I did is I lowered these rollers until they were just barely touched, and I just went by feel only, so that when I cranked the handle both rollers would turn. Then I fed the sheet through it. After feeding it through it, I pulled the release paper back to see if all the adhesive was sticking to the backing sheet only, which it wasn't. So then I came and made a little adjustment, made it a little tighter, fed it through again. I probably did that 2, 3, maybe 4 different times until the last time when I pulled the release paper back, all of the adhesive was indeed sticking to the backing sheet. So once I had it set, I was ready to start using it. So again, I would get one sheet ready to roll. Of course, it didn't take too long to realize that, hey, I could not only run one sheet through, I could run 2 sheets. So I just ran them side by side. And all you need to do is turn the wheel and feed them through. I like to rotate the sheets 90 degrees and feed them back the short way. As you notice, when they came through, you hear a little thumping noise. It's just the rollers coming back to themselves, so you kind of feel like you're putting some good pressure on them. But these are now ready to have the release paper removed and have a picture sheet put on them and ready for the next step. I also have a couple of the pictures on the sheet prepped for you. I've laid the picture on here, and I do the same thing. I'll run 2 sheets through at the same time. I won't make any adjustments to the laminator. I just run them through at the same level. And in order to get it started, you can kind of feel it takes a little bit to get over the hump. You feel a lot more drag as the card is going through than if there's no card going through. And you'll notice I'm kind of using almost two hands to turn the wheel instead of just the handle. The reason for that is if I just use the handle to get the card started through and the drag going through, my unit would slide a little bit on the surface that it's sitting on. It's not screwed or bolted down, it's just here in the free state. So to eliminate that process, I just use the handle only in both hands. So now I've run these cards through, they're now complete. They're ready to be cut out, radiused, and have a completed stereo card. I didn't like the idea of having these rollers tight against each other all the time, so when not in use, I separate them. But just recently, I went, and you can either scribe, I happen to have a little green paint with a fine paintbrush, and I painted a little line on this top surface about the center of the screw, and did likewise on this surface, on this side. I also went and painted a little line on the knob. You should be able to see that. It's a little green line. And what I found out in playing with this is if I turn it up 2 complete revolutions, the rollers are independent of each other, which tells me that they're no longer pressing or touching each other, which is what I want, and that's how I leave it stored when not in use. Then when I want to use it, all I need to do is bring it out and rotate them back 2 complete revolutions, and take this line here until it lines up with the line there, and now I have my same setup and use it over and over. It's a very quick way to go back and forth. Also, the wings on this unit will fold up. This is actually how it's shipped to you in the box. There's a little metal strap that comes with it. I leave the cardboard on there just not to scratch anything. And now I can pick the unit up and move it if so desired. It probably weighs 20-25 pounds. As you can see, I'm just using it on my mat cutter surface. This is where I cut out my 8x11 inch backing sheets. And when I was cutting out the 100 of sheets or so, I had actually carried this and put it on my workbench, so it's just an easy way to move it. Hopefully this demo might give you some ideas or thoughts of how you want to continue working on your cards in the future. Thank you.